We are often told that the past is over. That distance equals safety. But sometimes a moment is a chain, and a simple promise made without thought can become a debt that claims your entire future. For Silas, the moment wasn't when he fell in love or when he made his millions. It was on a cold, dusty platform 15 years ago when he looked into his sister's eyes and said 3 words, "I promise." That promise wasn't about money or help. It was about loyalty. It was about a hidden trauma that bound them. And it was a promise that cost him everything he ever built, demanded by the one person he could never say no to, his sister, Veridian. Welcome to Heartfelt Confessions. Tonight, we unravel the story of a promise kept at the price of a life destroyed. This is the confession of a man who realized too late that true loyalty demands a sacrifice no one should ever have to make. Silas was 22 and running from the small town monotony, running from the limited expectations, and mostly running from the memory of the abuse they had both suffered under their father. He was leaving for the city, determined to become someone successful. His sister, Veridian, was at the train station. Veridian, 3 years older, was frail, scarred, and still living in the wreckage of their past. She carried the weight Silas had shed. He hugged her, pulling away quickly, eager to board the train. Veridian pulled him back. Her grip was surprisingly strong. She didn't ask him to stay. She asked for one thing. "Silas, promise me you'll never let her come back." Her was their mother, who had abandoned them both years ago, leaving them alone with their father's cruelty. Veridian believed their mother was still a threat, a shadow that could return to exploit them. Silas, preoccupied with the train, agreed instantly. "I promise, Veridian. She's gone. She's never coming back." He said the words to soothe her, to make the goodbye easier, a casual lie spoken in haste. He didn't know he was signing a contract in blood. Silas went on to achieve everything he dreamed of. He built a successful real estate firm. He married Elara, a brilliant doctor. They had a beautiful daughter, Lena. He was free. He was safe. He had won the life he ran for. Veridian, however, never left the town. She became reclusive, obsessive, living in the shadow of their old house, communicating with Silas only through brief, tense phone calls. He sent her money. He tried to visit. She always refused. He convinced himself the financial support was enough to fulfill his duty. The past is never buried. It merely waits for a weak point. The weak point appeared 15 years later, not as a tragedy, but as a crisis of convenience. Elara, Silas's wife, needed a new nurse practitioner for her rapidly growing medical practice. The woman she hired was named Odessa. She was efficient, warm, and highly qualified. 6 months into Odessa's employment, Silas received a terse, late-night phone call from Veridian. Her voice was sharp, cold, and utterly terrifying. "She's here, Silas. You broke the promise." Odessa's full name, Veridian revealed, was Odessa Thorne, their mother. She had reinvented herself, moved back to their city, and through sheer chance, applied for a job working directly with Silas's wife. Silas felt the floor drop out from under him. The casual promise made on a train platform was now a catastrophic problem. His mother was not a monster, but she was a toxic presence that threatened Veridian's fragile stability. He tried to reason with her. He tried to explain that Odessa seemed stable, rehabilitated. Veridian just pointed to the scar on her arm, a physical reminder of their father's cruelty, which their mother had failed to prevent. "You promised," Veridian repeated, her voice shattering. "You promised you would protect me. You promised you would never come back." Silas realized the true weight of the promise. It wasn't a guarantee of distance, it was a contract of absolute, enduring loyalty to Veridian's trauma, demanding that he choose her security over the truth. The crisis forced Silas into a relentless, desperate balancing act. He couldn't tell Elara the truth about Odessa. It would destroy his wife's trust and compromise her business. He couldn't tell Odessa who he was, or he risked alerting Veridian. He tried to subtly convince Elara to fire Odessa, citing vague concerns about office politics. Elara, who valued Odessa highly, dismissed his concerns as paranoia. "She's excellent, Silas. Stop interfering." Veridian's demands escalated. She called him daily, sending him screenshots of Odessa's public social media profiles, highlighting every friend and co-worker. She wanted Odessa eliminated from their lives entirely. The tension became unbearable. Silas started drinking. He became distant from Elara, constantly checking his phone, jumping at every ring. He was living the very life of secrecy he had run from 15 years ago. The final demand came via a devastating text message from Veridian. "You have 1 week. Get rid of her, or I'm telling Elara everything about the safe deposit box, the one you kept secret for your father's last assets." The safe deposit box was the final, devastating piece of leverage. Years ago, Silas had inherited a small, untaxed inheritance from his deceased father and had concealed it from Elara to manage a financial vulnerability. This secret, small and unrelated, was now a weapon in Veridian's hands. Silas faced the impossible choice: keep the promise and destroy an innocent woman's career, Odessa's, or break the promise and destroy his marriage, Elara's, and his sister's fragile peace. He chose the lie. Silas went to Elara. He couldn't lie about Odessa's performance, but he fabricated a scenario of professional misconduct, forging a small piece of evidence related to client data. It was enough. Elara, devastated and confused by the evidence, fired Odessa. Odessa left quietly, bewildered and defeated. She was given no explanation, no chance to defend herself. Silas had kept his promise. He had protected Veridian. But the cost was immediate. Elara, suspicious of Silas's cold determination, began to ask questions. She noticed the lack of emotion when he spoke about Odessa's firing. She noticed the odd file name he had used for the forged evidence. The truth finally collapsed not from Veridian, but from the weight of Silas's guilt. During a dinner out, Elara gently asked him, "Silas, why did you hate that woman so much?" He confessed everything. The promise to Veridian, the fear, the coded demands, the forged evidence, and the secret safe deposit box used as collateral. He confessed the entire story of his trauma and his terrible moral debt. Elara listened in absolute silence. Her face was calm, but her eyes held a freezing clarity. She understood his trauma, but she could not forgive the destruction he caused to keep it secret. "You didn't break a promise to Veridian," Elara said quietly. "You broke the vows you made to me and to your own peace. You chose a 15-year-old trauma over your present reality." The marriage ended quietly, cleanly, but completely. Elara filed for divorce. She reopened her practice and immediately offered Odessa her job back, explaining the dark, complex truth. Odessa, after an initial shock, accepted. Silas lost his marriage, his family unit, and his sense of self-respect. He had saved Veridian's past, but sacrificed his own future. He sold his firm and moved to a small town. He realized the promise made on the platform wasn't an act of love. It was an act of codependency, allowing Veridian to live in perpetual victimhood and demanding he live as a perpetual prisoner. He never spoke to Veridian again. The debt was paid, but it yielded no peace. He often drives by the old train platform, remembering the young man who thought he could outrun his past with a casual vow. He discovered that true love means setting others free, not binding them with unbreakable, destructive promises. The promise he made was not a testament to loyalty, it was a testament to fear. The one person he truly betrayed was himself, leaving his integrity behind on that dusty platform 15 years ago. We are defined by the promises we keep, but sometimes the greatest courage lies in realizing that some promises were never meant to be made. This was a heartfelt confession, a story of a vow, a sister's trauma, and the ultimate price of absolute loyalty.